Hi, I'm Craig, film enjoy living in England, and who had semi-incestuous sexual assault on their Tyler bingo card this week.
I mean, I have that like every other week, so
There you go. You're closer to the prize. I don't know what it is, but
I never
you're
disappoint.
that bit closer. You know,
Yeah,
never
you
disappoint.
I'm Kevin Matthews, Scottish film fan living in England, and this week I knew beforehand, but I know I picked the weakest of the four films for Craig's special and potentially upset his special, but my plan worked because Craig watched a classic.
It's true. It's not my special though.
It wasn't my pick. Well, I thought it was your special. Sorry.
No, Japan. Just a general Japanuary theme, I believe.
Fair enough.
he still gets one after. I'm Dave Gray, and this week I remembered that we've got to get through the Tyler special next.
Oh yeah.
He was like a pervert. What's that thing with the big jug of fruit juice or drink burst through the walls?
The Kool-Aid guy.
baby.
Kool-Aid
Yeah.
man, yeah.
He's like a
Oh,
pervert
yeah.
Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah.
It's just him holding a VHS of some like what was that one that his parents had? The
Parents?
videotape. Didn't they have a legendary like dodgy
Oh
porno?
no, that wasn't my parents. Actually, we found that in my grandparents' house after my grandfather died. It was called Slurp.
His grandfather had a legendary porno, yeah.
Yeah.
It was my step grandfather actually, but yes, it's fucking. It was my my mom's dad's but it was actually her stepdad, so it wasn't really my grandfather. So I don't know, but he was a weird dude, and he had Slurp on VHS that I've seen multiple times. So
yes,
that's
the one.
I am Tyler Hosley, the pervert of the show, and the new Poppy album came out this week, and it was amazing. And this is Raiders of the Podcast.
Yeah, I think at this point you can't say I'm the pervert of the show. You've kind of just done it to us all.
Yeah, I know we're all perverts now.
You just kind of dragged us all into your world.
I'm like,
will we be covering Slurp at some point? Is that on your list?
You're like a slutty little mermaid. You made us part of your world.
Well, the problem with Slurp, it's only like 30 minutes, so it's not a feature length, but it's literally just a compilation of cum shots. So, I mean, we can review that because there's a lot of them, but, we can review, like, how far one shoots, if there's how many ropes, but we can go into the cum shots, but, What did I watch this week?
Any worse than some of the stuff?
No, it's true. So I went to the theater and I saw 28 years later the Bone Temple in 4D. So every time an infected got their throat cut, blood sprayed on me. That was pretty fucking cool. Well, it was water, but it's fucking awesome. The movie is fucking great though. Just so fucking good. The Iron Maiden Ray Fiennes scene will live forever in my head, rent free. It's just amazing. Nia Costa killed it. Like she brought it and she killed it. Evil Jack O'Connell is just wonderful. If you liked 28 Years Later at all, you will love this movie. I can't see you not liking it. It's so good, so good. I think Kevin saw that as well, so I'm sure he'll save it for when he goes. But yeah, it's so good. Besides that though, I haven't really been watching much. Just a bunch of TV.
I made the decision to drop some streaming services for the Vinegar Syndrome monthly release subscription, which was
nice.
Such a good call. So do you know what I watched this week? I watched Terror Firmer in 4K. Nice. I don't think that movie should ever have been in 4K, but it is. It's in 4K, and I now have it, and I'm very happy about that. Like, I'm way happier about that than I should be. And I watched Dario Argento's The Phantom of the Opera, also in 4K, and, well, Not really sure what I should say about that. It's Dario Argento's Phantom of the Opera, which is a movie I have seen more than once now.
And now own.
Yeah, now own in a very nice set. It looks fine. You know, it looks fine. The truth is, I'm waiting to crack into some of the others that I didn't get a chance to yet. So hopefully soon. But besides that, I might have gushed on this before, but there's an anime adaptation of The Holy Grail of Eris. The book series is great, and so far, like, I guess it's 4 episodes in, it's been a pretty decent adaptation, so check that out too.
Yes, like Tyler said, I got along to watch the Bone Temple, and I really liked it. It's kind of bizarre to me that I love 28 Days Later. I like 28 Weeks Later a lot, probably more than most people, because a lot of people just kind of like the beginning and don't really enjoy the rest so much. But I like it all, and I was kind of half shrugging when I heard about the 20 years later intended trilogy. I was just like, do we need it? Is it not just going to spoil the greatness we've had? And I was completely wrong, because like out of the 4 films so far, you could easily just like pick 3 of them out of a hat and make a good case for them being the best in the series. The Bone Tip was great. I agree with Tyler that that Ray Fiennes scene is amazing. Jack O'Connell's amazing. Nia DaCosta did a great job, and it's interesting how well she works with the material when we all knew what was coming and wondered how she would deal with what would seem to be the very British aspects of it, the very Britishness, but she knows what she's doing. It's used as a fairly kind of basic building block for some of the characters. And I've heard some interviews with DaCosta lately, and she lived in the UK for some time. So she was familiar with some of the elements anyway. So it wasn't like someone who just comes in with no idea about the cultural aspects or context. Yeah, it's really highly recommended. Great stuff. I don't think I mentioned the other week when I finally made time for Sexy Richard Gere in 4K. But I finally made time for Sexy Richard Gere in 4K. Although maybe did I mention it? Did I just message you, Dave, or did I mention it here about the Giorgio Moroder riffing on "Call Me" throughout?
Oh, I think you mentioned it on here, but
maybe I did.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just sidetracked by the sexiness of Richard Gere.
You definitely mentioned it on our little messenger thread, because I told you that I used to have a dog that looked like Richie Gere. I remember that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yes,
so
he
yeah,
did.
it was
So,
there. Yeah,
it's easy to get all these conversations confused because they're just us entertaining one another and making random observations, which is what we do here when we record it. And then, because of my choice, I had an excuse to rewatch The Bridge on the River Kwai, and I think that's still a masterpiece. I wrote a review from my blog, which I'd been waiting to do well, and in that, I make the point that I just decided to do that because I think David Lean is kind of fallen by the wayside as a name that gets thrown around in conversations about great filmmakers. Personally, maybe I'm missing out on those conversations, but I think nowadays you get a lot of the living filmmakers that are rightly celebrated. You get a lot about Powell and Pressburger when it comes to British classic cinema, obviously Hitchcock. I think, for me, I think David Lean just isn't mentioned and celebrated as certainly as much as he used to be. I feel like a decade or so ago, it was easier to find more compliments for the grandiose cinema of David Lean. So
I feel like filmmakers talk about him a lot, but maybe not so much to film going public. But
I couldn't even think of filmmakers discussing him, but you maybe right, and I've missed those conversations. He would certainly be, I think, a sort of touchstone for a lot of people if they're looking for that sense of epicness and scope. But so I think at the moment, bizarrely, he would just be someone whose name I would be wanting to get back out there. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, David Lean, he's a bit underrated, isn't he?" But I just think his name has kind of ebbed out of the conversations slightly. Maybe that's to do with the the run times or the subject matter of his movies. But I don't know. Although I am saying that, and I've still never watched Dr. Zhivago, which is where Dave will tell me, "Don't do it. It's a piece of crap."
Don't do it. It's very long.
But is it quite sumptuous and
I mean, like it's well shot, but it's very long.
River Kwai is one of Lean's like little short ones, isn't it? At like 2 hours 40 minutes. That's one of his that's it. That's him at his most brief. Everything else is like about 4 hours plus.
Oh, and
I mean, like you'll like Dr. Zhivago more than me, but it's like 4 hours for a solid Kevin 7. It's
I mean, I'm still grateful that what we're like. Sometimes we buy stuff and it sits there and you're waiting for the right time, and that's why I've still not watched Schindler's List yet. But I got that really nice Lawrence of Arabia set, the big box with the book and the CD. I just waited and waited, and my first time seeing it was a 70mm screening at a local cinema in Edinburgh with the intermission and everything, and it was just glorious. It was a great audience because obviously they're turning out for that kind of event, and yeah, it's a kind of film on the big screen that just reaffirms your all of the decisions you've made in your life because you love cinema. So I highly recommend that if you ever get a chance for that experience. Anyway, that was me. Apart from Mother of Flies, which I watched today, which is the latest one from the Adams family, the Adams / Poser family, I think is their name. And that was quite good, but I'm still mulling that one over. That dropped on Shudder, I think today or yesterday here in the UK.
I watched quite a few bits. On my birthday, I watched for the first time ever. I watched Dog Day Afternoon. I think I feel the same way about Sidney Lumet as you do about David Lean, Kevin, because I don't see Sidney Lumet's name bouncing around all that much, and his filmography is kind of staggering at points. Just unbelievable. If you've got Dog Day Afternoon in there, which I'll get to in a minute, it is fantastic. You've got 12 Angry Men. Was Network Sidney Lumet?
Yeah,
I can't remember his films.
No, it was. 12 Angry Men, Dog Day Afternoon, The Verdict, Serpico, Running on Empty.
Jesus. And then
Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, Murder on the Orient Express. Yeah, I mean, dude knocked it out.
Absolutely incredible filmography. And this was one of my favorites. This was absolutely fantastic. I was not expecting it to be as funny and warm in the start and kind of throughout as it is. It's just tug of war between like the funny and the warm bits and the incredibly tense bits, and it's constantly building the tension and breaking it, and it's kind of exhausting. I have to assume that who are the brothers who made Good Time and
Safdies.
Safdie brothers.
Yeah. I feel the Safdie brothers must fucking love Dog Day Afternoon because I feel like their films are hugely influenced by it. It's a brilliant film, brilliant writing, incredible cast. It's my favourite Al Pacino performance, which is saying something because it's fucking Al Pacino. John Cazale is brilliant as always. All the bank employees, I don't know the names, I'm afraid, but they're all excellent. Apart from Carol Kane, I did recognise her. What's the Big Lebowski? What's his name? Charles Durning. He was fantastic. Chris Sarandon, just absolutely phenomenal performances, and just an absolute. It's that thing with the Safdie brothers. You know, I think that's what they got their sense of just non-stop, just building of tension and every now and then just releasing it slightly and then building up to the next level until it's just to a pretty devastating climax. Yeah, Dog Day Afternoon is really fantastic. I'm glad I got around to that. I watched Bridge Over the River Kwai because Kevin gets stuck. One of us will pick. I will pick, say, Kickboxer 3, The Art of War, and poor Kevin will have to watch Kickboxer and Kickboxer 2. And we've done this to you a lot, haven't we, Kevin? Sometimes on purpose.
Yeah.
So I thought,
mostly on purpose, Greg. Mostly on purpose.
Often intentional. So I thought, right, let's watch The Bridge Over the River Kwai. It's meant to be a masterpiece. I wanted to see it anyway. I bought it on digital about 5 years ago in 4K. I watched it, and it's obviously it's a masterpiece. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a beautiful looking film. That kind of widescreen cinematography is fucking gorgeous. The Technicolor, it's beautiful. Like that, it's every and it just doesn't make it sound particularly exotic, but every shade of brown that exists is in this film. Like you can feel the sun beating down. You can feel the muck under your fingernails. It's such a dirty, hot, sweaty film. It's just incredible atmosphere, great performances. At first, I wasn't massively into William Holden's like subplot where he escapes and then kind of his escape turns into this kind of Sisyphean task where he has to like basically go back to the place he's escaped from. I wasn't into it at first. I thought it kind of distracted from Alec Guinness's part, but it becomes this really soulful thing with William Holden, who is a fantastic actor. That helps, but I really like that element of it. Really, it just had something to say about the madness of war, the absolute the pointlessness of it all. It's just an incredible climax and a brilliant film. Which I was going to be like, a bit pissy and bitchy and say which didn't need a sequel, but it's not even a sequel, is it? The film we're going to discuss later, but yeah, Bridge Over the River Kwai, excellent. I guess sort of thank you, Kevin, sort of, for pointing me in that direction. What else did I watched both seasons of Peacemaker, which I absolutely loved. I feel like I come off as like a James Gunn fanboy sometimes, and it's not that. It's just I hate the Snyder Cut people with such an intense passion, but it's just made me like a massive James Gunn defender, and I don't think he's an exceptional filmmaker or anything, but I like what he does, and Peacemaker is like everything that he does well together. You've got the bunch of misfits who team up to save the world. You've got the gore from his earlier movies. You've got all the heart from all. Let's say the heart from all of his films. Because if there's one thing, even if it doesn't work for you, James Gunn is trying to put on screen characters that you care about. He wants you to give a shit about what's going on in his movies, and Peacemaker, it does. I really cared about the characters. I love the cast, especially John Cena, who is hysterically funny, and god damn it, hang on, Danielle Brooks from Orange Is the New Black is where I first saw her. She's fantastic. It's very funny. It's very sweet. My only complaint is where it ended, because now I need more. I need to know what happens, and I feel like James Gunn has got other things in his mind, so I don't know how long it's going to be before I get a conclusion to the Peacemaker saga. But yeah, I really, really love Peacemaker. And I squeezed in, what was his animated series as well? Creature Commandos, which is not as good as Peacemaker, but it's really good fun. It's got a really good set of characters. Sean Gunn he does voice work on a couple of characters, and I think I don't know if he's that great as a you know on-screen actor, but I think he's a really, really good voice actor. He does really, really good voice work in Creature Commandos, especially his voicing of the character G.I. Robot. I think even people who aren't particularly bowled over by Creature Commandos are just going to fall in love with G.I. Robot, who exists only to murder Nazis whenever he gets the opportunity. He's gleefully murder Nazis, which is just a lot of fun. So I'm really liking all the stuff that James Gunn is doing at DC. So I need to hurry up and watch Superman, which I think everyone here liked, even Tyler.
Even Tyler, yeah.
I did.
Yeah, cool, nice.
Yeah.
So I will get to it. I will get to it. I don't know. Just I want to wait till it's cheap because I'm a cheap person. But yeah, that's me for the week.
This week, we did the special that we'd been talking about doing for about a year and a half before the man we were tributing passed away. So this week, the films of Tatsuya Nakadai. We watched the 1964 Japanese horror anthology Kwaidan, the 1966 Jedi Geki film The Sword of Doom, the 1982 Japanese gangster film Onimasa, and the 1989 British war film Return from the River Kwai, you combo breaking bastard. You know what? I'm going to throw myself on the sword for this one, and I'm going to go first, and I'm going to go with Kevin's pick just to get this shit out of the way. We're going to discuss Return from the River Kwai. Kevin, Nakadai was in so many great films. You could have picked one of the Human Condition trilogy. You could have picked Harakiri or Samurai Rebellion.
High and Low.
Conflagration. When a Woman Ascends the Stairs, and Jiro, yeah, High and Low, A Face of Another, Goyoken, Kagemusha. I mean, there's so many films you could have picked. And instead, when we said we're going to do the Japanese films of Tatsuya Nakadai, you went, fuck you guys. Here's a British movie that never got a proper release in the US.
I was just silently judging Kevin so hard that I feel like he would have been able to feel it, even though I wasn't making any sound whatsoever. I was just. Did you feel it, Kevin?
Well, I don't know. There was an occasional sort of itch, but I will remind you all that we had Tyler looking forward to a Star Wars special that we used to watch 2 Ewoks movies. So this is not.
But those are Star Wars movies. We had sat down and said the Japanese films of Tatsuya Nakadai, and you just ignored part of it. That's all I'm saying.
I didn't hear I heard a Tatsuya Nakadai special. I did not hear specified Japanese films.
All right.
But they speak Japanese in it.
They do. They do. Okay. So this is obviously it takes place after the event of the classic David Lean film Bridge on the River Kwai. It's not actually a direct sequel, but they are both inspired by the same. Well, they're sort of inspired by the same events. One is more inspired by an event that happens later, and they just tie it in because I don't think they're actually. I don't think the guys that did the Bridge on the River Kwai are the same guys that were on the SS. What is it? Ryoko Maru. Anyway, after the Allies destroy the bridge, the heads of the Japanese army decide to move all 400 prisoners of war to Japan to answer the manpower shortage as the war draws to a close. Now, of course, it is true. There were, I think in reality, there were like over 2,000 British and Australian POWs who were forced labor on the Burma Railway, built the bridge over the River Kwai. Then they were taken to Singapore by rail, and then they were put on 2 ships to be transported. And in this, I don't know how many of them are true to life. Edward Fox takes over from Alec Guinness as Major Binford. Chris Penn plays the young American pilot, Lieutenant Crawford, who shows up. Denholm Elliott is Colonel Grayson as an SAS English officer who's also operating in Singapore. Timothy Bottoms is... I don't remember his character's name. Tatsuya Nakadai is Major Harada, the Japanese officer who is put in charge of moving the prisoners from Burma through to Japan. And he's assisted by George Takai as Lieutenant Tanaka, who is I think he's the former head. I haven't seen Bridge on the River Kwai in a long time, so I don't remember if there was... I don't remember if they use the same character names. I don't think they do. I think isn't shit, give me a second. Susese Hayakawa, he's Colonel Sato in Bridge on the River Kwai, right? Yeah. So they're not the same. I don't think any of them actually have the same names as they do in this. And I think part of that is to differentiate itself from the more famous film. Anyway, eventually the prisoners of war are put on the SS Rakuya Moreau, which is a hell ship. These were an actual thing in World War II where they would just stuff prisoners of war on ships that were unventilated and without enough food and water, and they would, take them where they wanted them to go, and thousands of prisoners of war died on these ships. I was reading. I got the name wrong in my notes, so I was double checking because I read about it before. I was saying about the Brazil Maru, which they do reference. I do believe that you see it in one shot in this. Generally in these, and this is without being sunk by submarines or landmines. I think like an average of 500 prisoners died on most hell ships. The SS Ryaku Maru has slightly more, I believe, 2,000 POWs died on her. But especially during this crossing, not for the reasons you would think, given what happened in the film. They just died from really poor conditions. Okay, the problem with Return from the River Kwai is it's not Bridge on the River Kwai. It doesn't really do anything wrong. It's just a pretty generic war film. Tatsuya Nakadai does his best. He has some decent scenes, but he's very underused. I'll even say George Takei does his best and is very underused. And that's kind of the problem with the whole film. Nobody really lands as a character. There's not really much reason to give a rat's ass, except you've seen Bridge on the River Kwai, and this is loosely inspired by a real event. I mean, that's about it. It's a war movie that's just kind of there. It's not great. It's not terrible. I just don't see it as being worth looking for. And somebody should have smacked Edward Fox because his Alec Guinness impression sucks. That's it. So you thought I'd have more to say about it, but I didn't. Even my notes are pretty sparse. There's some decent scenes. The mutiny's okay, but like that's about it. Like in piecemeals, it is what it is. It's okay. It is the most okay movie we watched this week. Deeply and aggressively okay.
Will I go?
You want me to go or you want to go?
Yeah, you go, T. You go.
Okay, I'll be quick. As Kevin said, and you know how I felt when I had to watch Wilford Brimley and those goddamn teddy bears in my Star Wars special. So there you go.
There were tears.
I actually I don't actually have much to say about this one. I've never seen Bridge of the River Kwai. I know for shame, but I've now seen this, so yay. I thought this was pretty fucking bad, like all across the board. I mean, it looks and feels every bit like a television production. Was this made for TV or was this supposed to go theatrical? Because it looks like a TV movie.
No,
like,
this was a theatrical feature. It's just
Jesus.
it's 1980 9 or something, so they made it cheap.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it's everything is flat, everything is dull. It's just really mediocre. I thought all the acting was pretty bad, aside from Nakadai. I mean, but as Dave said, he's severely underused. Everybody's underused in this fucking movie. Chris Penn is usually pretty good, but he's bad. I like George Takei. He's pretty bad. The script is just shit. I mean, and it's really fucking boring too, which is a shame. There's so many other better prisoner of war movies out there. Even what's that Angelina Jolie one? I would rather watch that, The Unbroken. I thought that was better. And but yeah, this I don't know. If this felt like an eternity, and we watched 2 3-hour movies this week, and this somehow felt longer than any of those. But I looked up the filmmaker after it was over to see what else he made, and the dude made just like a shitload of westerns, mostly John Wayne stuff. I think I'm not a John Wayne fan, so I have not seen any of his work. But besides some okay location shots, this was not good. I was not a fan of this one.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I hadn't seen Bridge Over the River Kwai, but I watched it in preparation for this. And when I say I watched this immediately after Bridge Over the River Kwai, I mean I watched Bridge Over the River Kwai. I went for a slash, and then I watched this. Like I watched it immediately after, and because I thought it might benefit from doing it that way, and there were minor benefits. Like I immediately when this film started, I had a sense of place, a sense of location, and a sense of urgency that this film didn't actually earn. It's just it crosses over from Bridge Over the River Kwai. So all credit to Bridge Over the River Kwai for like a couple of the things I liked about it, but otherwise it's pretty lousy. Like do you remember that cleaner in Spain who accidentally damaged like a 19th century fresco and decided to like paint over it to try and fix it?
Yes. It was like Mr. Potato Head Jesus by the end.
Yes. That's kind of what this film is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Like this film isn't, but this is what that film looks like. That's not how this film feels. It just feels like a mess trading off a masterpiece, and it just doesn't work. This feels closer to Night Wars than it does David Lean's film. It's just having gone from like this widescreen majesty to like this little, it looked like shot on video postage stamp. It's not a good downgrade. It hurts, and I don't know. I didn't hate it because I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's basically just a boys' adventure comic. Like if you cut out enough vouchers from the back of boxes of cereal in the 90s, maybe eventually they'd send you this comic and it would be fine. But it's not. There's no depth to it. There's no nuance. It's not interesting. I can imagine an interesting version of this. Trekking through the jungle. I can imagine something closer to Aguirre Wrath of God or Sorcery, something, a proper adventure movie, but it doesn't try to do that. It's just a series of really like them being ambushed by people who aren't very good at ambushing, and then getting onto a different vehicle, which which is ambushed again, and so on and so forth. And none of the characters are interesting. It's a solid cast, but it feels like they were kind of honey trapped, but just by the word Kwai. Like, as soon as their agents heard the name Kwai, they were like, "Yes, sign me up." And this is kind of where they landed, and it's just. I don't like the tone either compared to Bridge Over the River Kwai, because Bridge Over the River Kwai is just, war is madness. Whereas this, there's way more of this anti-Japanese sentiment in here than there is in the original, which is weird because it's so much further removed from the original. But there's a lot of hatred aimed at the Japanese people, to the point where I think they made Nakadai, who is the best thing in the film, just overly benevolent, just to to try and cast eyes away from how how anti-Japanese this is. I mean, Takai's character is such an absolute piece of shit. Uh, it's not awful. I just keep imagining a better film made by someone with money and skill and ideas, and just a script that has some nuance. It's a bad jungle adventure movie for it would appeal to young boys if it was more fun, but it's just kind of not. It's just kind of there. So don't hate it, but not great.
Do you want a fun fact before Kevin defends himself? Craig, you'll appreciate this. Do you know what other movie director Andrew McLaughlin directed?
No.
The 1975 American action film Mitchell, starring Joe Don Baker.
Oh, the legendary Mitchell of
the legendary
Mystery
Mitchell.
Science Theatre legend. Okay.
Yes, he also directed McClintock, the John Wayne Maureen O'Hara comedy.
That's when he wanted a Dirty Harry of his own, and is that no? That's Brannigan. That's Brannigan.
That's
isn't
Brannigan.
It? Yeah.
This is the one where he spanks her and it's very icky, and there's a lot of God. Why is this happening?
No, I don't need to see that. What is it with this man? Why is he testing us like this?
hate from beyond the grave.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. This has gone.
Wait there. I just before you start, I want you to imagine a dock. That's it. Just imagine you're in a dock. I think you should.
Right. Okay. Look, ladies and gentlemen assembled here today. It's not gone down as badly as I thought. Really, I wanted to pick this because I was actually unfamiliar with Tatsuya Nakadai, and I knew whatever happened this week, this would spur me on to rewatch Bridge on the River Kwai. That's why I picked this, because it was like, if I end up not liking any of those, which I know was unlikely, but I was just like, let me have this to kick my own butt to rewatch Bridge on the River Kwai. I didn't watch them quite as close together as Craig did, but I did watch them very close together, and I mean, Craig is correct. You just sit there thinking, why isn't this anywhere near as good as Bridge on the River Kwai? Why can't I just stick Bridge on the River Kwai again? Put it on. Where is Alec Guinness or William Holden to save this? Why have I done this? But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Again, I agree with Craig. It's just there. It is one of those sort of military adventure movies, and there are so many better ones. Most of them with much better casts. Just because they they would absolutely pack the cast with stars and have them all over the place, whether it's the Wild Geese or the Dirty Dozen or Force 10 from Navarone or A Bridge Too Far, or I could go on if my memory allowed me, but it won't. This has a decent cast, but they're not doing their best work. I wouldn't say they're all really A-list, and they're not given great material to work with. So that all comes together to really sort of just leave them floundering a bit. Like the closest I came to being properly entertained was a scene near the end where someone is trying to rouse Lieutenant Commander Hunt in one of the last scenes, and I forgot his name was Hunt, and I thought this film just ended on some mad swearing bombshell. I was like, "What? This has taken a turn for
That
the
would have
vulgar,
been
and I am
so
here
much
for it."
better.
Yeah, because he'd been annoying me for a lot of the movie
Daddy
anyway.
Die's granddad in the
So
film,
I was
just
like, "Yeah, damn
wading
right.
in there.
Call it like it is." The rest, it's it's just it's there. It's like it doesn't have any like any polish and any sense of really trying hard enough. Like the couple of set pieces it does have. I did like some of the confrontations on the ships and the way things were, trying to go to and fro between negotiating and like getting prisoners dealt with and officers dealt with, etc. I kind of liked some of those scenes, but the stuff in the first half that I'm assuming is meant to be occasionally presented as like a wartime set piece is, well, funnily enough, Dave, you watched Terra Firma this week. Like it feels like trauma levels at times. Oh, they had someone's backyard that they could make look like a small village in a foreign country. Let's do that and pretend it's war. Like, I think it was more convincing when you saw the scenes in Combat Shock than anything in this film. I know Tyler's ready to just rep Combat Shock anyway.
Yes.
He's
Love
like,
Combat Shock.
damn right, yeah. But at least that had like some kind of burning passion and like the rage going through it. This is people play acting with a few guns, and it's not as if you've really grown to like or become attached to any characters at that point. So it's just people shooting at each other in a way that doesn't even feel very properly like militarily coordinated or like in any kind of plan. And yeah, like everything else in the film, it just sort of sits there. It exists, therefore it is. That's it. So it's far from the most painful film I've watched. It's nowhere near the most painful film I've watched for the podcast. It's not one I would recommend to people who have watched Bridge on the River Kwai and thought, I need some more of that. This isn't more of that. Like, go find a dozen other war movies that will give you more of that bitterness. Go and check out, is it La Grande Illusion? That's just another masterpiece. There we go. That's a recommendation from this week. So at the end of the day,
hold on.
I still plead not guilty, Your Honor, because because Craig watched Bridge on the River Kwai.
I'm looking at my Werner Herzog action figure. He has this deeply perturbed and disappointed expression on his face, and
Sure,
that's kind of how I feel right now. Like I never like totally understood this expression before right now, but now I do. So thanks for that, Kevin.
That's
Me too.
that's
Verna.
no problem.
Me too.
I just I think if I'd browsed Nakadai's filmography, I could have still easily landed on something that he either wasn't in much or was one of his weaker efforts. Because you picked Kwaidan, I think. There was Onimasa and the Sword of Doom. I was just like, yeah, I'm not as familiar with the rest of his filmography. I could have picked a duffer. So with this one, I was like, well, I'll rewatch Bridge on the River Kwai. That'll be a plus.
He was in half a dozen Kurosawa films. That's not a big risk. You're not rolling the dice there, are you? Guilty. Guilty.
Fair enough, but I can never remember if we've covered any Kurosawa films and what ones I've yet to see. Was it? I don't even know what Kurosawa films he was in. They just all kind of blurred together when I was looking through his lengthy filmography.
There was a time when I picked so much Kurosawa, you begged me to stop.
Yeah, we don't want that, do we? We do not want to get back to that position.
Such a bad place to be, he says, looking at the long line of childhood prostitution films he's now seen. To be young and naive again. Fuck.
I'm going to return the favour immediately, and I think Dave's pick was Kwaidan. Was that right, Dave?
It was.
You, wasn't it? Yeah. Now, Kwaidan was a big blind spot for me. As I've mentioned before, I always think I've seen it, and then I remember that I've actually seen Onibaba. It's the same problem I had with there was one that we covered on the podcast. Oh, The Innocents and the Uninvited. I think I remember discussing that on the podcast whenever we discussed one of them. So for some reason, I always thought I'd seen this. I hadn't, and I never rectified that. So I actually do appreciate you picking this one, Dave. It got me around to watching it. A celebrated, fantastic anthology horror movie is what it is. There are 4 stories. The first one is The Black Hair, and it's about a swordsman who divorces his wife and goes to marry a wealthier woman. That is not a happy marriage, and he wants to get back to his wife, and then you see how that ends up. I'm trying to give no spoilers, but what I will say about this tale is it felt like it had a similar source to the one I picked a while ago that we watched 2 different versions of. No, I've forgotten the name.
Yeah,
you know the one I mean, Dave.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah. Possibly some common ground with the lore and the sort of classic tales.
There's that Japanese, the Onryo ghost, which it is, but the one you picked before is like the alpha and the omega of Onryo tales. To the point that, like, even today they all copy certain things straight from it.
Sure. And it's great. Anyway, this was a good strong start. I did like this, and then the second tale is The Woman of the Snow, and this is where Tatsuya Nakadai is in there. Now, I'm not going to name check the most well-known Americanized version of this tale, but it is a very good tale that's been reworked over time. This presentation is quite wonderful. It's quite it's a little bit, I think, sort of, it's a little bit milder and happy to have a bit of happiness in there, but there's also a sadness and feeling of the not tragedy, but yeah, almost hopelessness getting towards the end. I really liked the imagery here, and particularly what's done at the end. Anyway, so I'm being too vague about that, but basically, two woodcutters hiding from a snowstorm encounter a young being, and things get strange. And then one of the woodcutters, sometime later, meets a beautiful young woman, and is trying not to tell her about the strange event. That's what it is for the Woman of the Snow, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. Hoichi the Earless is the third tale, and it concerns a young musician who plays, and then he's taken away to play for certain people, and others tell him that he's being taken away by it's the dead, who then they want to kill him and keep him with them at some point, if I remember right. So what Hoichi's friends or colleagues aim to do is cover him with text that will keep him safe. As the title of the story may give you a clue, things aren't all covered in ink. That was decent. And then lastly, In a Cup of Tea. I don't even want to explain this one, Dave. Can you everyone loves Kwaidan. What is going on with In a Cup of Tea? I did not like it, and it was a poor end to a classic horror anthology.
Yeah, it's a weird choice.
Yeah. Yeah,
they
like every anthology kind of has a highs and lows. That's what's good about an anthology. If you don't like something, you're like, oh, that's fine. The next one's there. Kwaidan had such a strong reputation, and is so great for. I would say I really liked the black hair and the Woman of the Snow more than the back half of the movie. I wasn't as won over by Hoichi the Earless, but I did find enough to enjoy in it. You're kind of waiting for what's going to come to sort of justify the title of the story. But then In a Cup of Tea, I was just like, right, you just could have cut this out and had three very good tales rather than two greats, one good, and a weird little, for me, stinker at the end, which was very odd considering I've just heard of its reputation for years. Quite Sorry, I thought someone was going to say something there.
I was going to mention that it's in there because they're all from a book, the same book called Kwaidan Stories and Studies of Strange Things. But then I remember that there's like, it's basically like well, it's actually written by a Greek dude, Lefakado Hearn, but it's essentially like the Japanese version of the Grimm's fairy tales. So they literally could have chosen like other, like 18 other tales to end it on. So never mind. That was that. I did not have the salient point I thought I did to defend the choice of In a Cup of Tea. I have no idea why it's fucking there either.
Well, I enjoyed this. I'm glad I marked it sort of off my viewing list. I think this is just a reminder that I still need to see other films from director Masaki Kobayashi. So I don't think I've seen any other of his films, or certainly not anything major that's sticking out to me. So yeah, like I'd recommend Kwaidan. I think it is worthy of the praise it's had over the years and the celebration. It's gorgeous throughout. There's some really nice stuff in here. I believe everything, well, pretty much everything was shot on sound stages, and it just, I don't know, it adds to that idea of like everything being perfectly in place in the scene and in the story. And if it has any feeling of artifice, then that doesn't detract from anything, because it's almost like you're watching a framed, bit of art depicting what sometimes feel like fairy tales. Just these classic tales. So I think it looks gorgeous through a lot of it. I think a few of the tales are really worthwhile, and then there's that end footnote that I'll try to stop going on about. I'm just surprised that I didn't completely love it. As I say, I started falling away from it slightly in the third story. I just wasn't as big a fan of it. It's just not as good as the two before it. I'm not saying it's a return from the River Kwai after Bridge on the River Kwai, but there's kind of a middle ground. And then, within a cup of tea, it sort of returns from the River Kwai. Not saying fully, but sort of. If you compare that one to the first tale, it's for me it's a big drop off. But I can see why people love it, and I definitely got a lot from it, and it would be one I could just see myself revisiting and appreciating so much of the mise en scene and the designs and just the way everything's handled.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. This was the first time watch for me as well. I bought the Criterion Blu-ray a million years ago. I've been watching a lot of stuff that's been sitting around for ages. I'm gonna rip off the Dave Disappointment Band-Aid now. Like I liked Kwaidan. I really liked Kwaidan, but like Kevin, I did not love it, and there are a few reasons. Two of them are most definitely not the film's fault. They are not the film's fault. The first one, absolutely not the film's fault. One of my dogs vomited 3 times while I was watching this film, and I had to pause and mop up his vomit before continuing the film. And that could have worked as some sort of weird vomit intermission had he done it at set times during the film. That could have worked, but he didn't. He did them all about in a set 10-minute stretch around the 2-hour mark, and it definitely harmed the flow of the film to just be mopping up vomit. But that's not the film's fault. The other one that is not the film's fault, and it just can't be helped, so I didn't really think about it until I pressed play. I don't really like ghost stories or folk tales. I just don't. They're as horror movies, ghost stories never really grab me. Like Japanese ghost stories grab me better than most. I really loved Ugetsu. Who picked Ugetsu? Was that one of yours, Dave?
Yeah, it's been a minute, but yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I love Dugetsu. I tend to prefer Japanese ghost stories to ghost stories from the rest of the world, but I'm still not a huge fan. And with something like Ugetsu, you're spending a lot of time with these characters and you're getting this human drama in there as well. Whereas with these stories, they're too short and I'm not getting a lot of character from them, and they're all they're like a lot of ghost story folk tales in that it all hangs on this ironic twist of fate at the end, and I'm just not getting the character stuff that I want. So the actors in each segment are doing their damnedest. So there is it landed with me it landed with me at about 70%. It was landing with me, but I just wasn't getting enough. I just wasn't getting enough humanity in the stories, I guess. And that's just how ghost stories always work for me. I'm just not a huge fan, and it's a shame. Like, I still really like the movie because it is absurdly beautiful. Like, the snow sequences in the second film are just absolutely stunning. Everything that happens everything in the Hoichi segment is absolutely gorgeous. That is just one of the most. The sets are just absurdly beautiful, and the sea battle scenes absolutely gorgeous. And I love the sound design. You've got this weird kind of avant-garde music with this. Everything else is like kind of eerily quiet. It sets up this real sense of unease. There's so much great, fucking great filmmaking here. Great acting. I can't really fault it, apart from the fact that it's just not the sort. I just not really into supernatural horror. I'm not really into ghost stories. I'm not really into folk tales. They just don't tend to do it for me, unless they are like a Getsu, a bit longer, and I can get into the human side of it. Like, I would watch 90 minutes plus of Hoichi. You could expand that, and if I just watched that, I'm sure I'd get a lot more from it. But I wish it was 3 hours and but the fourth segment was gone because, like, yeah, Kevin's bang on about the fourth segment. It's silly. It's a very silly way to end the film, and it's missing all the visual flourishes from earlier as well. It's visually dull and silly, and I don't know why it's there. Because if this film ended on the Hoichi tale, that would be a way more satisfying way to end this film. And I feel like I haven't been kind enough to this film. I should point out that I really, really liked it, but I went in expecting to love it. And as soon as I pressed play, and as soon as we got into the first story, it's like, because I am an idiot, I was like, oh yeah, I don't really like ghost stories, and it just doesn't 100% land with me. But you know, so, just a ton of great stuff. But I'm going to watch it again at some point without the dog vomit, and I'm probably going to stop at the end of the Hoichi tale and just skip a cup of tea. And you know what? I imagine, knowing now what I do going in, I will enjoy it more. But just slight disappointment with this first viewing because the vomit and the not being a huge fan of ghost stories.
Yeah, the production design for this film is fucking incredible, especially the first three stories. I feel like 3 hours being able to stare at some of the visuals in this movie just isn't nearly long enough. The colors, the dreamlike, almost psychedelic cinematography, it's beautiful. But yeah, I loved how everything looked in this movie. Every fucking frame could be a painting in this. The soundstage look for me just added to the film as well. I love a film that looks soundstagey. It just comes off as art, and I love that. I never once felt the length. I was engaged from frame one. Each story was really good too, and that's pretty rare for anthologies. I do now. I don't want to say each story was great. I do agree with Kevin and Craig. The final story was the weakest, but I didn't hate it. Like, it didn't ruin the movie for me. I was fine with how it ended. It just wasn't as strong as the first three. Like Craig, I am super, super picky about ghost movies. I can appreciate them when they're done well, but it's not my preferred subgenre of horror. But this one I would say is pretty top tier, especially in terms of anthology ghost stories. It's a super slow burn, which may steer some folks away combined with its length, but please don't. It's really gorgeous. It's a gorgeous supernatural horror film. It loses steam towards the end, but yeah, it's still fucking top tier. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kwaidan. It's a classic for a reason. It's been on my list forever, and unlike fucking Kevin, I have a hard time pulling the trigger on 3-hour movies. I do. I delay. I wait. Then I knew we were going to do a Nakadai special. I was like, finally, it is Kwaidan's turn, and I've been waiting, so I'm glad I did it. I'm very much in line with you guys. I love the movie, but yeah, In a Cup of Tea is weak, and I don't understand why they chose like this. This would be like a wraparound or like the middle segment in most other anthologies, but here they're bringing it home with this. I don't understand it at all, but it still has an excellent cast. The cast in A Cup of Tea is Kanimon Nakamura III, who is he was a big political activist, but he co-founded one of the oldest and largest repertory theater companies in Japan in 1931. The narrator is Ozuma Takazawa, who has been in he was just in jaw-dropping amounts of stuff. Especially what he really did was adaptions of other countries' stuff. He adapted Death of a Salesman for Japan, and he directed a Japanese version of The Diary of Anne Frank. The guy was very much into expanding cultural influence in both directions and getting access to tales from other places. Hoichi the Earless, I'm going backwards. I don't know why. I just started there and that's the way I'm going. Hoichi as a character is incredibly well known still in Japan. That story has just like a shocking number of references and callbacks in other things over the years. It's just one of those stories that I'm sure if I sat down and I like really thought about it, I could think of an analog in the West, but it's just one of those stories that's told to everyone and everyone knows. But again, the cast is excellent. Hoichi is played by Tatsuya Nakadai, who he's in Martin Scorsese's Silence from 2016. And he's the younger brother of Kinosuke Nakamura, who was Miyamoto Musashi, and well, we all know Katsuo from Godzilla films, and we know his other brother because his other brother was oh crap, I just brain froze. His other brother was fuck it, I'll remember later when we're not recording. It's been one of those days. And the chief priest is Takashi Shimura. And Takashi Shimura, you want to talk about somebody that worked with Kurosawa. He was in Drunken Angel and Rashomon and Ikaru and Seven Samurai. He's the professor in the first two Godzilla films. I mean, that man had a hell of a career. As I've said many, many times on here, he's in one of my all-time favorites. I said it just a second ago, Ikaru, that the man was a hell of an actor. Woman in the Snow, it's Nakadai, who is excellent, and the Yuki-onna is played by Kyoko Kishi, who was in the Yakuza in 75, I think. She was in the 2005 Graveyard of the Fireflies. The live action one, not the animated one. They came out. I think they came out the same year. We talked about it when we watched the anime. She's in Rafifi in Tokyo, which is excellent, and a bunch of other really good ones. And the black hair, it's Rintaro Mikuni, who is another one of those actors that has been in just so much really good stuff. He's in Samurai, the first Musashi Miyamoto film, Samurai 1. He's in Satoshi the Outlaw, Vengeance is Mine, Sailor Suit and Machine Gun, which we will be watching soon because I have it on Blu-ray, and at least Tyler, or I mean, at least Kevin will appreciate it. Tyler will probably appreciate it too, and Kevin will cry. The wife is Michio Aramata, who was in a bunch of the Nikatsu films from that time. She's in the 47 Ronin and the Human Condition series. Another just like the cast in this film are just, it's just like a who's who of awesome actors from Japan at the time. The director is Masaki Kobayashi, who also did the Human Condition series and Samurai Rebellion and Harakiri. Just an incredible filmmaker. I'm trying to remember who did the sets. I actually I knew and I looked it up, but I can't find it in my notes now, which is deeply, deeply depressing because as the other guy said, the sets in this is amazing. This is just an absolutely gorgeous film. The set in the Snow Woman story is just fantastic and versatile. We see it both in spring and covered in snow, and it's just a hell of a look. It's just the sets in this are amazing and well worth spending 3 hours with.
No one shoots snow better than I say the Japanese, but Japanese films, the way they shoot snow, it always looks stunning.
Stunning. And it's all on a sound set, and it's a hell of a sound set stage. They really just work what they have in this film to an absolutely amazing degree. I mean, there's some depth in some of these that are just fantastic. The set decorator was Dai Arakawa, who again is one of those that just worked on a ton of great stuff in the 60s to 80s. And the art director is I'm going to say it so wrong, and I'm so sorry, Shigemasa Toda, who also did Harakiri and Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, and other things I want to say that I am just totally brain farting on. Anyway, it's just excellent. It's incredibly well done. The cinematographer is Yoshio Miyajima, who also again did the first Human Condition film. He did Harakiri, which looks absolutely fantastic. Just like everybody is at the top of their game in it. Actually, he might have done all 3 of the Human Condition films. I should have looked that up before saying that, but I didn't. Do you know why? Because I'm lazy. And Kwaidan's a classic. It's a reason it's considered a classic, and you should totally watch it and see the 3-hour version. And shit, that means it's my turn again. So with that, okay, I guess I will follow that up with Onimasa, which is based on the novel by Tomiko Mayao. I'm so sorry, I fucked that up so bad. And it tells the story of the Onimasa Masagoro Kiryun and his adopted daughter Matsu. Of course, Tatsuya Nakadai plays Masagora, and adult Matsu is played by Masako Natsume, and she is absolutely excellent. The actress did tragically die really young. I think she was only like 26, maybe, of leukemia. Just like really shortly after this film came out. I want to say like within 3 years. Anyway, Masagora's wife is Uta, and she's played by Shima Iwashita. I'm so sorry that
I'm so glad you're doing all of this.
Yes, thank you.
I would have pronounced them perfectly, but there's no need.
I know you would have. I know you would have. And his other daughter is Hanako, and played by Kiori Tagasugi. And Onimasa is okay. The thing with this movie is it really doesn't land for me in a lot of ways. I don't care about the drama. None of the characters really have relationships or are well enough fleshed out for how much time we spend with them. It really, like, they even sold it as a Japanese Godfather in 1982. And, they pushed it for a lot of international awards that it was not accepted as nominees for. It's okay. Mostly it just makes me want to read the book because it feels like they cut out a lot of the more important character work and scenes with the characters interacting. When it works, it's really good. Nakadai and Natsume both give great performances. It's just, it doesn't seem to flow or connect. It's directed by Hideo Gosha. Hideo Gosha did Three Outlaw Samurais and The Geisha. The Oil Hell Murder was his last film in like 93, I think. He's a big influence on Takashi Miike and Yoshiaki Kawajari, who is the founder of Studio Madhouse and did Wicked City, Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlines, and some other animes we have covered. Just like a really strong director who is doing a fine job making this. It's just, I don't know where the disconnect is. I don't know who made the decisions for what went in and what was cut from the book, because it just doesn't land for me. I do know that they originally meant to make this years earlier. It was a passion project of my passion project, the films of Meiko Keiji, but it just never got off the ground. It's just one of those ones where it does not land for me, and I'm not sure why. The cast is great. I just don't feel a connection between them. And then like the scenes which like reveal that Masagoro has never seen Matsu as like a person or a family member. Just, it's like, well, yeah, no shit, because that's how he's treated her the whole time. This should be like a shocking revelation. Instead, it's like, well, fucking duh. And I think that's ultimately the problem, where the screenplay or the editing or something does not seem to get the pacing and the reveals right. There's just some disconnect, not just between me and the movie, but between the movie and the emotions the source material is going for. Now, I definitely want to read the book. I think there's something fantastic here just under the surface that is just not brought out in this film adaptation, which is a shame because, as I said, the cast is absolutely excellent. But when characters are being killed, like, I should care more than I do in watching this. So, take that as you will. But for me, this film is probably the biggest miss of the week because it has all the parts to be something truly great and special, and it just misses.
Well, I actually like this one quite a bit, and it's mainly because I think it is really good at showing someone who has a persona, has a job, has has a lot of his life that makes him an unpleasant person for people that are on the wrong side of him. He's not shown in a good light, but he is good to the ones he loves, and I think he does show that he cares about them. Now, not always in the right way, but it does show that. And I think this film does that without me ever looking at Tatsuya Nakadai, who's a wonderful screen presence. But I didn't look at this and think that's a great character to look up to. It felt like it was showing that character and that life without it ever feeling glamorized, for want of a better word, but just showing that there is still a need for balance if someone is in that kind of life where their business is a lot of crime and leading people and punching people and being used as the strong arm to break up disputes and such. So I liked how you could see the character being swayed at times by different arguments as they were trying to stay the sort of strong, correct presence in their mind. Yeah, I liked it. Nothing. I don't think there was anything here that was truly memorable, considering it runs for nearly 2.5 hours. I don't think it didn't quite have that sense of scale or like when other films cover a certain time period, you really sort of in a good way feel that passage of time and feel how it's changing a number of the main characters. I didn't get that feeling here. It it felt like just it didn't flow. It kind of jumped around a bit, and that's a shame because it would have been better if it was just a more fluid piece with the passage of time there. But yeah, I thought it was good, and I thought this was this was actually one I really liked as a showcase for Nakadai at the heart of it. So I can see why this was Craig's pick, right?
No, this is Tyler's.
This is
Oh, was
mine.
this
Now.
Tyler's? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was yours. I was going to be like, I can see why you picked him. But yeah, good stuff anyway.
Another first time watch for me. Like I said, all of the films this week are first timers for me, apart from Sword of Doom, my choice. Well, I put this on, and fairly early on, I thought I kind of had it pegged. Like I was already kind of writing the review for this, like in my head, and I was gonna say, like, there are lots of strong elements in it. There are lots of individually powerful scenes, good performances, but it lacked focus. It was too sprawling. It had this tendency to like lapse into full-on melodrama too often. that's what I was going to write, but like while all of that is true, Onomasa really started to win me over by the halfway mark. I don't know what it is, but something about it grabbed me. At the scene where Nakadai goes to break up the railway strike, at that point it really started to grab me, and I really dug it. Like I've lost my place. Give me a second. Like technically it's great. You know, typically for a Japanese epic movie, it's technically very accomplished. Like the set and costume design are pretty flawless. It's got really great mood setting cinematography. It's got perfect staging and blocking. Now I'm sure I've mentioned this before, and I'll probably mention it again, but I didn't really get what blocking was until I watched another Nakadai film, which was High and Low. When I saw that, I suddenly understood how blocking was used in movies. It wasn't just part of a cinematography, you know, to make an attractive image. It showed the good blocking shows the relationship between the characters as well, and I find it a lot. I tend to find that I notice it more in Japanese films, and this is another example. It's really, really, really well blocked and staged. The score's pretty wonderful. Like I think whoever composed the music for The Godfather, they probably like raised their eyebrows if they ever heard this. But I think it has enough of its own identity, enough of its own like Japanese identity to keep the lawyers out of it. But the most important thing for me, the performances. The performances in this are fantastic. Like, I think melodrama is actually harder than it looks because it's a very specific style of acting. Like, performances have to be perfect for melodrama to work, and everyone is really delivers in this. I'll just talk about the two most important ones. Uh, Nobuku Sendo and Masako Natsume. Those they played the child and adult versions of Matsue. They're both excellent. Like the character is a tricky one because they're essentially an observer and at points almost just like an audience stand-in. So they have little to no agency, and I feel like it's a character where it really relies on the actor bringing something to it that probably isn't on the page. And both of the actresses do that really well. The character's very empathetic and emotional, and I like the way she starts very insular, and the character works her way out, throughout the runtime. So they're both very good. But Nakadai is the best part of it for me. Like I fucking obviously, I love Tatsuya Nakadai, the great actor that three of us have chosen to pay tribute to tonight. He's phenomenal in this. Like, I might mention this again later when we talk about Sword of Doom, but I think he might have the most expressive eyes in cinematic history. They are just incredible. Like, just in this film alone, I feel like I saw the whole spectrum of human emotion pass over his eyes. They're just incredible. There's a scene where, in the climax, where he's about to murder a man with a sword, and his victim says, "Go to hell," and the way his eyes light up as if to say, "Fucking A, okay, let's go to hell. That sounds like a fucking blast. You first." He's just incredible. Like, so much insane, filthy, ball crushing swagger to the man. Just if he's going to shout at someone, he's going to clamber across the table and scream at them from the furniture. There's so much anger and swagger, but the third act he really works some pathos into the performance in the third act as well. It's a hell of a performance that kind of it is the film's strength. It's just, the film's strength is violence and tenderness, always kind of working into each other to the point where you can't tell where one begins and the other ends. And I really, really dug it. Like I do have issues with it. Like, it is unfocused. Like Dave said, there are times when it just does not flow well. I didn't like the musical theme at the beginning. Just I don't particularly dislike and anachronistic music, but just to have it at the beginning as a theme, kind of just got things off to an odd start. And I definitely feel like if you got 2 hours 40, was it 2 hours 20 minutes or 2 hours 40 minutes? 2 hours
Like
20.
20.
Yeah, 2 hours 20. Like you've got all this time. Like I wish they'd spent more time on like the good relationships in Matsui's life because they hinted it. Like all of the stuff, all of the little like underlings under Onomasa, you can tell those are her real. They're like her real parents. So he's got all of these underlings who are, dirty kind of yakuza shitbags as people, but they've also like they've taken care of her. They develop relationships with her, especially there's a character I can't remember his name, but he's played by an actor called Hideo Morita, and obviously he cares for her an enormous amount and has built this relationship with her. And I wish they'd spent a bit more time on that as opposed to like the darker and more abusive relationships that from her so-called parents. But overall, I really liked it. Once you hit that midpoint where Nakadai goes to break up the railway strike, it really comes to life for me, and I liked it enough. I immediately looked up, is there a Blu-ray? I must have it, and it turned out Video Syndrome released one, which I'd missed somehow, so I immediately ordered that, and I'm quite excited to watch it again. But I can say the same about Kwaidan. I know earlier I said I wasn't huge in it because of it's not my favourite genre of film, but I'm quite looking forward to watching that again. I'm going to get back to that. So yeah, this was really good, T, and not too T because I think when you picked it, I looked it up, and the first thing I saw was um the scene, the semi-incestuous sexual assault scene, and I thought, okay, here we go. But it wasn't it wasn't too T, and I really liked it. It worked for me. But I can also see why it didn't work for Dave because I get the issues of it being not flowing particularly well. It's either going to grab you or it's not.
I'm gonna say this like right off the bat. I did not like the dog fight in this at all, and I know it sounds crazy, but I feel the inclusion of that knocks it down a whole star. Apparently, it was real, and it's really fucking long, and I was not a fan. If I would have known going in, I probably would have not picked this because dog fighting is just disgusting. But with that said, I had not seen this before, but I love a good sprawling, long epic with a gangster melodrama. So yeah, I'm there, and I'm maybe I saw an incest tag somewhere in the keywords that may have played a part in picking this. Who knows? I'll let you decide. I thought this was really good though. Um, Although I will say this is more of a dark family drama than it is a legit gangster film. I mean, the Yakuza stuff is here, don't get me wrong, but I feel it's more of a backdrop of the film than it is main crux of the movie. Um, but I do actually like the aspect. I do like the family aspect of the story. I think the comparisons to The Godfather is a major disservice, though, because I mean, when you start comparing shit to The Godfather, I mean, whatever you think about Francis Ford Coppola or whatever, The Godfather is a fucking masterpiece, and that brings in certain expectations when you start comparing shit to the fucking Godfather. So that's just gonna be a knock going in, unfortunately. But I like the narrative structure. Is it a little unfocused? Yeah, you guys are totally right. It is pretty unfocused, but I thought the script was actually really good. I had no problems with it there. Nakadai is fucking brilliant here, which is why we're doing this special. I mean, he's fucking amazing in this movie. I'm not going to say that this is my favorite movie of the week, but this just might be my favorite performance of his this week. He is so fucking good in this movie. But yeah, besides the dogfight, this was good stuff. It's like I said, it's not my favorite movie of the week, which is strange because I fucking picked it and that never happens. But it was good. It was good enough, and I enjoyed it. But like I said, the inclusion of the dogfight just brings it down just a notch. If I ever did rewatch it, I would fast forward to that scene so quick. But yeah, it's good stuff, and I did enjoy it. Which brings me to The Sword of Doom, which was Craig's pick. It's about a government assassin in Japan who has no remorse and no moral code. When he's scheduled to participate in a fencing contest, he ends up killing his competitor. He then kills his mistress and deserts their infant son. It's like a haunted geisha house, and then he just spirals into madness and leaves a bloodbath in his trail. This was great. I had not seen this one before. I haven't seen all the movies this week are first time views for me. I hadn't seen a single one of these fucking movies this week. But this was great. Beautifully shot. Like, this may sound like hyperboil, but my God, this is one of the most gorgeous looking samurai films ever. And I'm not just saying this is stunning looking. I mean, that black and white cinematography is fucking gorgeous. I mean, the fights are amazing. They're wonderfully directed and staged, vicious, violent, stylized, and quick. I loved that fight scene in the forest at the beginning. And the one in the snow looked incredible. This just on a purely technical level, this movie might be flawless. If I were to nitpick anything at all, I guess some of the editing could be a bit tighter, but that's about it. Nakadai is great. I mean, that emotionless, cold, dead-eyed stare is truly something special, and it should be studied forever. He was amazing in this. But yeah, this just knocked my fucking socks off. Definitely high on my list of one of the best samurai films I've seen. But yeah, this was a great pick, Craig.
Woo!
Yeah, fucking Sword of Doom is excellent. This is based on one of the longest epics ever written. It's 41 volumes. It was written over a period of 30 years, and it was never finished because the author did not survive to finish it. Just, so you have a frame of reference.
That's very Japanese, though, isn't there? Like, how many anime series have just stopped when their creator has died?
Yeah, I mean, it is so Japanese. This was actually supposed to be a trilogy, but the studio decided it was too violent to finish when they saw the final cut. So, Toho, you fucked up, but that's okay. That's okay. Nakadai is absolutely fantastic as Ryunosuke, who is just a fascinating character. He's a deeply disturbing and disturbed, awful human being, and he plays him magnetically. It is a hell of a performance. It's a shame they didn't make the other movies. I really wanted to see how they handle it. It's not the only filmed version of this story, but it is a the best one. A lot of them are a lot of the characters are actually based on real people. I don't believe our lead is, though. So there you go. But it's well worth looking up. It's a gorgeous. The fight scenes are excellent. The cast is great. There's just an amazing fight in the snow with there is something poetic about watching Toshiro Mifune swing a sword, and more so when he's doing it like with complete and total bushido in a snow as the snow falls. And he's being watched by Tatsuya Nakadai with both awe and terror. It's a good one. It is such a good one. I'm trying to think of who the woman in it is, and I forgot to write down her name, so I'm gonna have to pass. But the whole cast is excellent. It is, if you have not seen Sword of Doom, you should definitely look at. I think it's also the shortest this week, which I believe it's only 2 hours instead of 2.5. So yay for that. It's excellent. You should look it up. It's a real shame they did not finish the trilogy.
Kevin's film was technically the shortest in time.
Yes.
Was it? Because it felt like twice
Yeah,
as long.
it did. It felt that way, but in in terms of actual time,
Jesus.
fixed units of time.
That really
Yeah.
that blows my mind to learn because God, it is the shortest.
See
No,
things I do for
wait,
you,
no.
and it's now like 10 to 1 in the morning. I've been up since
Wow.
4:30 yesterday morning, and this is commitment to the podcast.
Okay, well,
So I'll pick
okay.
River Kwai weirdness now and again.
All right.
In fact, I
Well,
think that's all of the River Kwai weirdness.
Well, that's all I have to say. So, if Craig wants to bring this one home, we can
Oh, we
get
got
it
Kevin.
wrapped
We
up
got
for you.
Kevin.
I'll go.
Oh,
Well, I
right,
mean,
Kevin.
but you have said a lot that I would say. I really like this one. This was right. So this was Tyler's. No, this was your pick,
This is
Craig.
Craig's
This is
pick.
my pick.
I'm so confused. Yeah, for some reason.
You can tell he's overtired. He can't tell you and Tyler apart. That's usually he doesn't have
No,
any problem with.
I can, but when I was watching them,
I'm the big spoon.
when I was watching them, I'd misremembered who picked what. So I was watching Onimasa, thinking that it was Craig's pick. I was like, okay, he's picked, this film that's a showcase for actor. And then I was watching sort of Doom, and I just thought it also felt like a good Tyler pick. I was like, yeah, I can see why he went for this, because it's just Nakadai being so good, and he's like he's such a he's basically such a shit for most of it. He's unrelentingly shitty, and like just from the earliest scenes where he's about to engage in a duel with someone, but just to make things more interesting, he'll have the guy's wife as well, and then make sure that the guy finds out that pertinent information before a duel's one. So that's the start, and he doesn't really get much better from then on. So yeah, it's a character study of a shit who's really good with a sword. I like this. I like this quite a lot. I think maybe because we were like doing these films together, this one also it did benefit from feeling a bit more brisk and relatively fast paced compared to some of the others that we watched. So it has that going for it, but it's just also a really good film, and I like the finale. I like the way this is left, and the scenes at the very end of the film where they were just like it actually felt quite impactful, despite the fact that this is a character I thought I wouldn't necessarily be invested in. While I enjoyed watching their antics on screen, it was a pleasant surprise that by the time the film ends, I've kind of, started to wonder what, if anything, is next. Where does it ultimately go? That journey that he's been on, that path that he's forged for himself through life. The acting was really good from everyone in this. Yeah, it was just great. And then obviously bonus of Mifune in there, Toshiro Mifune. So I could easily recognize him as a as a leading figure. I think at this point in time you couldn't really have him in a role that didn't have part of his reputation and status as the baggage with it. So he's great. Yeah, this one to me felt like the most kind of like almost just outright classic. And I apologise to Dave for saying that in the week that we watched Kwaidan, but there was just less that I found I had to accept or felt the urge to pick up with this one. This was just start to finish a belter, as they say.
Okay. Yeah, this was my pick. I was about to say quick story. It's not. I don't know if it's a story. I don't even know if it really counts as an anecdote. But I'm going to tell you all anyway. About 6 years ago, maybe a bit longer, I decided to just dig out a random film and put it on. I put on Harakiri. My first time watching it, and I remember being absolutely blown away by that movie. As soon as it finished, straight to IMDb. Who is that lead actor? Tatsuya Nakadai. Wow, he's fantastic. Then I thought I'll watch another samurai movie because I really enjoyed that. So my second part of my double bill was Sword of Doom, which I watched from beginning to end. And at the end, I thought, wow, I loved that lead actor. I wonder who that is. And I went on to IMDb, looked him up. Tatsuya Nakadai again. And that's one of the things I love about Tatsuya Nakadai. It's people talk about actors with range, and when they talk about actors with range, they're usually talking about actors who, have put on loads of weight or lost loads of weight or have got makeup and this and that and things that change their appearance, and that is part of it. And there are great actors who do that. But what I love about Nakadai is that the only difference visually between these two characters is a beard in Harakiri, and I did not recognize him. I did not recognize him because those performances were such polar opposite performances. It's just incredible. And from that point on, I was just a Tatsuya Nakadai fan for life. And I think Harakiri is his best film, but Sword of Doom might be my favorite of his because I just like you've all said, it's a great character study of just the most fascinating fucking character he's ever played. Just people use the phrase "oh, they're the worst" too freely. This character is the worst. This guy is the worst. Like, he's at the top. There are other bad people in films, but this guy is the absolute fucking worst. Like, the empty eyes, the disinterest. That's what I find really eerie, is total disinterest in everything and everyone is chilling. He is just indiscriminate as a fucking plague. And I'm watching him just commit these acts of casual evil. And for the first 2/3 of this film, I always think, okay, this is a character who's just wandering around looking for death. He's looking for that person because his life is so joyless. He's looking for that person who can put him down and put an end to it all. And then you get to that scene of Toshiro Mifune just slaughtering people, just stoically slaughtering people in the snow, which is one of the most beautifully shot scenes I've ever seen. And it all changes for me with that scene because, like Dave said, when Nakadai is watching him with that mix of, what did you say, awe and terror, that's the part where it just raises its game. This movie, where suddenly I realise that this is a character who has not really considered death before because he's never seen it before, and he's just witnessed it firsthand, and suddenly it humanizes him. Not a great deal, but it's just slightly humanizes him just enough in the third act that I'm with Kevin. I just want to watch him. I want to see where he goes now with this new information. He could possibly die, and it leads into that incredible scene where he has that hallucinatory like breakdown towards the end where he's just slaughtering imaginary enemies and past enemies and ghosts of a past all around him, and then suddenly finds himself surrounded by real enemies. He's surrounded by enemies on all sides, and he slaughters them too. And I feel like that's what for the character in the climax. The world is, for the first time, the world is exactly as he has always seen it, how he has always perceived the world. Him at the very center of it, surrounded by enemies. I feel like it tells the greatest truth about that character in the dying minutes, and it's just he fascinates the fuck out of me. And I think Nakadai is incredible. He may be my favorite cinematic villain, and I wish to God this trilogy had happened so I could see more of him. You know, on top of Nakadai being amazing, every other actor in the film is amazing. The cinematography is stunning. The blocking is stunning. The atmosphere is just stark and beautiful, and the score is absolutely incredible. Like this came out 2 years before Black Sabbath coined the term doom for their music, and they were lucky that the composer of Sword of Doom didn't decide to grab that himself, because that's what the music in this sounds like. It sounds like doom, and for the first 2/3, it's like anyone who comes across this man is doomed, and then for the last third of the film, it's like, oh, but he's the one that's doomed. He's realised he's the one that's doomed, and it's just I love the fuck out of this film. It's perfectly made technically. Has my favourite performance by an actor who's become one of my favourites of all time, and it's just fucking glorious. Perfectly paced, just yeah. I'm a huge fan of Nakadai and Sword of Doom. I wish to God I could see that completed trilogy. Damn. Why did you have to tell me that, Dave?
Sorry.
God damn it.
I can tell you what happens to the character.
Don't. Or maybe I'll read the book at some point when I, read a book for the first time in 20 years.
It's like the fourth longest book ever written. It's the second longest book in Japanese. It's 41 volumes, man. Fuck Lord of the Rings. That's fucking crazy. Okay, it's time to pick one. And yeah, I'm with Craig. It's Sword of Doom. Nakadai is excellent in all of them. And yeah, 3 of the 4 are watchable and worth your time. And the 4th one is Return from the River Kwai. But the best one is, for me, Sword of Doom.
Yeah, Sword of Doom for me too.
Yep, Sword of Doom.
Yeah, it gets a sweep. I was expecting to nudge Kwaidan up there, but I've got to go with Sword of Doom.
Yeah, I mean it's close.
Yeah,
I could have gone with. I could see an argument for going with any of 3 of them. Just not Return from the River Kwai.
You know who the real winner is? The real winners are all of us for getting to experience the work of Tatsuya Nakadai, who 91 years, man. What a and he only his last bit of work was maybe like 5 years ago. It might have been a bit of voiceover work, but he did not stop working, and we could probably do another 3 or 4 Nakadai specials. Kevin behaves himself. I don't think there are any more River Kwais in there. So
end this now.
You got it out of his.
I need to sleep.
Okay.
So next week it's T and Craig picking. So what do you guys got for us?
Next week, we are watching the 2024 intersex sex worker crime drama, Pony Boy.
Last time Elaine May appeared on the show, it was a film that I picked for a special that I picked, but I didn't turn up to because I am a useless prick. So we're gonna bring some more Elaine May along, and it's a 1976 drama, Mikey and Nikki. And while I'm here, sorry Kevin, just quickly, I'm gonna chuck in. It's your special this week, isn't it, Tyler? This month.
It is.
Well, I'll just announce mine because I want to get it watched. I want to get a start on it early. So my pick for Tyler's sex work special is the 2003 documentary Kokomo City.
Nice. We're on Instagram, Raiders_of_the_podcast. We're on Facebook, where I sometimes remember to post stuff on Wednesdays. We have a YouTube channel where you can like, subscribe, and comment and watch Kevin's awesome videos. We have a Discord. We have a Blue Sky. Do people even use fucking Blue Sky? But we have one. And you can always email us. And we can always email us at raidersofthepodcast@gmail.com.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, guys. Go see Sword of Doom. I'll talk to you next week.
Yay! See you next week, guys.
Yep.
Guys, I need to jump. I'm shattered.